Good evening, I'm Ryan Bass in for Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. We begin with your vote 2012, the winners and losers from this weekend's straw polls, and who top Republicans really want to run. And we begin in Florida, where political outsider Herman Cain scored a pretty big on Saturday, winning the Presidency 5 straw poll.
Tonight's winner with 986 votes, 37.1%, Herman Cain.
Rick Perry came in a distant second with 15%, followed closely by Mitt Romney, who had 14%. Political analysts say this is a huge upset, and they had pegged Perry as the winner going into the debate held Thursday in Orlando. And a win for Mitt Romney in the GOP nomination fight. The former Massachusetts governor won big in the Michigan straw poll yesterday. 681 votes cast by the Republican faithful who showed up. Romney took 51%. Perry came in a distant second with just under 17. Romney was expected to do well. He's originally from Michigan, and his father was also once governor there. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie says he's reconsidering his decision to not run for president. He's been courted by conservatives for months, and he's always emphatically said he would not run. Now, sources close to the governor's office say he's been meeting with big donors who are dissatisfied with the current GOP field. Christie says he'll have a final decision in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, President Obama is seeking to rally his Democratic base. He spoke at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner in D.C. this weekend. Black voter turnout is important for Democratic candidates, but recent polls show the support for Obama slipping from around 90% to the 70s. He's trying to get them behind his recent jobs bill.
The unemployment rate for black folks went up to nearly 17%, the highest it's been in almost 3 decades. 40% almost of African-American children living in poverty. Fewer than half convinced that they can achieve Dr. King's dream.
Some CBC members have criticized the president publicly. They say he's compromised too much with Republicans, and they want him to fight harder for his policies. The American hikers accused of spying in Iran woke up in their own beds today. Josh Fatal and Shane Bauer arrived in New York yesterday, and now they're sharing details about their 781 days behind bars for the first time.
In prison, we lived in a world of lies and false hope. From the very start, the only reason we have been held hostage is because we are American.
No evidence was ever presented against us. That is because there is no evidence, and because we are completely innocent.
The hikers were held prisoner in Iran after apparently crossing the Iranian border in 2009. They say they were held in near complete isolation, and they waged hunger strikes to get letters from loved ones. They were finally freed last week. A third hiker was also released last year. A Florida jury found a millionaire guilty of killing his wife in their upscale home. Saturday, James Bob Ward was convicted of second-degree murder in the September 2009 shooting death of his wife, Diane Ward. The defense claimed Diane was suicidal and her death was accidental. Prosecutors said Bob Ward's statements to authorities and friends following his wife's death were just inconsistent.
In global news now, Libyan officials say they found a mass grave holding some 1,270 bodies. They say the victims were killed by the Gaddafi regime. The grave is near Tripoli. Victims were killed in 1996 after protesting conditions in the facility. Meanwhile, Libyan and NATO forces continue to search for the former dictator and fight small pockets of loyalists. Palestine's president returns home to cheering crowds over the weekend after calling on the UN to recognize an independent Palestine. A vote on that in the UN is likely months away. Palestine's president wants the International Committee to give his land that status. That's before negotiating a peace agreement with Israel. Critics say that's putting the cart before the horse and would likely cause more violence instead. A historic change in Saudi Arabia. King Abdullah gives women the right to vote. They also will be able to run as candidates in municipal elections. Those are the only elections in the kingdom. Now, the change won't go into effect for this election cycle. Saudi women will have to wait until 2015. However, they are also not allowed to drive. And that's your global news now.
NASA confirms pieces of this now dead satellite have hit Earth. It says debris fell to Earth between 10:23 p.m. Friday and 12:09 a.m. on Saturday. Despite the accuracy of the time, NASA does not know where the debris actually hit. It says somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, perhaps. The satellite was about 6 tons, weighed about 6 tons. About 24 pieces were expected to survive, re-entering Earth's atmosphere. But some of it might have come in over Minnesota. One man there captured these pictures that you see on your screen now during that time. It appears to be something burning up in the atmosphere. NASA hasn't yet commented on the photos. There are also reports of potential sightings from Texas to Hawaii. Meanwhile, one California man had his own space mishap. A meteorite slammed into his house. Christina Anderson has the story from Sacramento.
It happened. That was how Mike Gibson responded after he was rudely awakened on the night of August 13th.
I heard a boom like you wouldn't believe hitting our house in the middle of the night.
He ran outside and searched his roof with a flashlight, and that's when he saw what happened.
And a huge impact zone of about 4.5, 6 feet around was in my roof.
But Mike still didn't quite know what had happened. The Perseid meteor shower was taking place, and Mike thought maybe, just maybe, it was a meteorite that hit his home. But he couldn't find proof. That's when his son Ben joined in the search in the front yard plants.
Grabbed some gloves, brought it over, started lifting it up. As soon as you lifted it up, you're able to see it's not a rock from Earth.
We took it over to City College, my daughter did, to her astronomy professor, and he tested it, and it has magnetism. That's a meteorite.
But with all the initial excitement came the harsh reality. This meteorite did thousands of dollars in damage to the home, and it could have done some serious harm.
It's going faster than a bullet, so I mean, it's hitting at 20,000 miles an hour.
Mike is just happy that no one was injured, and now, a month later, is still excited about his outer space visitor.
Coming up next, some good news if you need to fill up at the pump, plus the high cost of helping communities recover from disaster, how much one insurance giant has paid out, and another daring swimming attempt hits choppy water. INN News will continue after this. And we want to remind you, INN News is on Facebook, and now you can also find us on Twitter at INN News Network. And we're also on YouTube, reaching out to you so you can reach out to us. INN News will be right back.